So they're selling books, and these books out there, these are all former cabinet ministers, liberal cabinet ministers. They all take shots at Justin Trudeau. I'm Adrienne Batra. Go to thetorontosun.com and hit that subscribe button for more videos like this and coverage you will not find anywhere else. So Canada's former finance minister, Bill Morneau, is out selling his book. He's got some choice words for the current Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. With me are Jamil, Jivani, and Brian Lilley. Jamil, Bill Morneau, Jody Wilson-Raybould, and Selena Caesar-Chavannes all have been former Liberal cabinet ministers, all went out there and wrote books pretty critical of Justin Trudeau. Yet the Truanons, as we call them, are now critical of Bill Morneau, who was the fall guy for the WE scandal, saying that he's just jealous and he's angry. What say you?
Well, the Truanon crowd, I think, would have more of a point if the criticisms of the prime minister were personal only. A lot of what's been said about him is about his job, his decision making, the policies that he's backed, the way he's gotten our country into debt, his hypocrisy around things like empowering women and people from minority communities. These are substantive criticisms of the prime minister. These are not just people sort of gossiping and talking shop. So I think the defensiveness we're seeing is people realizing they cannot defend the prime minister on the substance. They cannot explain that he had good fiscal policies because we're seeing the results of what he's done. They cannot explain that he's done a good job of empowering women of color because the women of color who worked for him are complaining about how he treated them. So this is just, in my view, people desperate to try to protect the reputation of a guy where there's no substance to actually back up him being good at his job and being a competent prime minister.
We've known for a long time, Brian, the emperor has no clothes. We have known for a long time that he wants to grow the economy from the heart outwards. He doesn't think much about fiscal policy. We heard all about that. We know he's an unserious prime minister. We know that.
Yeah.
I want to talk just to Jamil's point. So Bill Morneau talked about sort of that centralized power in the prime minister's office, which usually happens, but it's the decision making that goes on. Selena Caesar-Chavannes wrote very explicitly about a heated conversation that he had with her before she resigned from his government. A lot of expletives in that. Jody Wilson-Raybould also resigned because of the pressure that she felt from the PMO with respect to the investigation, the legal investigation. And also Jane Philpott left in support with Jody Wilson-Raybould. So all of these things combined. I know the average Canadian isn't going to delve into this, and it may not move the vote, but it speaks to a broader issue with this prime minister, does it not?
It does. And if Stephen Harper had lost cabinet ministers, parliamentary secretaries, MPs in this fashion, and they put out statements in books like this, you would hear about it ad nauseum. Selena Caesar-Chavannes saying he was engaging in tokenism. That's what he wanted her for. Tokenism. Jody Wilson-Raybould, Bill Morneau saying he wasn't serious on policy. Morneau saying it was about a popularity contest, not good policy. That the prime minister didn't think about policy. We've got the ethics commissioner, the former ethics commissioner, saying that Trudeau found his job to be ceremonial in nature. This is a guy who loves doing announcements. He doesn't love doing governing. Governing is the day-to-day hard work of taking the ship that is the government of Canada, pointing it in a direction and making it operate, making it go. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to make announcements. He wants to make people feel good. That's fine if he had somebody in the background actually running the ship and making sure that the government operated properly. He doesn't. This is, as you say, an emperor with no clothes, a government that is rudderless, one that is just worried. We've talked about the selfies and the socks for years, but that is more important to Trudeau than good, sound public policy. And the fact that he doesn't care about good, sound public policy means the rest of us suffer, as we are with high inflation, an economy about to go into a recession, and a government that can't give you simple things like passports or run the immigration system or run the military. We're being asked to go into Haiti. We can't. Why? Because the military is a shambles. Anything he's responsible for is not operating well at the moment.
Jamil, I'm going to give you the last word on this one. I wonder, all these things that we write about, we talk about constantly, the average Canadian has to be feeling it. It's one thing for a politician to make you feel good about yourself, all that squishy stuff. But the reality on the ground, when you're paying your bills, when you're trying to heat your home, when you're paying your taxes, it doesn't match those warm, fuzzy feelings that Justin Trudeau wants you to have versus you actually having to live your life, which is becoming more and more costly under his rule, including increased taxes, including the increased carbon tax, which is coming down. Do you think Canadians have that understanding? Does that translate into anything? Does it mean anything for the next election?
Yeah, I think it does. I think you've touched on some of the issues. I mean, life is getting less affordable for the average person. People are getting more anxious and concerned about what the future of Canada is going to look like for their children. And I do think that, Trudeau's been able to make people feel good, providing what I would call sort of fast food type of politics, right? It makes you think you're full, but then you realize you're hungry again 45 minutes later. So I think that that's going to run out, and people are going to want someone who they trust to be a real steward of the economy. What I think this really reveals, though, more than anything, is just how useless the NDP is. To think that former Liberal cabinet ministers are drawing more attention to the bad decisions of Justin Trudeau than one of his opposition parties should be. It's just crazy to think. And I think we're seeing more and more that there is a void in our politics for someone to step in and really provide that voice for what is happening to families on the ground because of Justin Trudeau's bad economic policies. I know the Conservatives are trying. I think we need more people to put that pressure on them. And I wonder where that pressure is going to come from the left. Maybe some of these former cabinet ministers might decide to get back into politics in another party.
Well, we've said for some time now, the NDP should just capitulate and let the Liberals take them over anyway, but it's certainly going to make for an interesting federal election. Log on to Facebook and Twitter. Let us know what you think, and go to thetorontosun.com and hit that subscribe button. You're going to find more videos like this and coverage on stories that you will not find anywhere else.